Hi, I'm Michael Josh, and this is TechRap. Welcome to the Ronak Art Center, one of the country's hippest hubs for contemporary art and retail. We have a big show in store for you, but first, a look at this week's biggest tech headlines. This week on TechRap, the economy isn't the only one that's growing fast. The Philippines is also one of the fastest growing markets for iOS and Android use in the world. Apple releases the simplest version of iTunes yet. We give you a first look at the Nokia Lumia 920, and we review the Kindle Paperwhite and tell you why we think it's the best ebook reader out there. The Philippines ranks among the top 10 countries in the world with the fastest growing iOS and Android market. This means that over the past year, there's been an explosion of smartphone users in the country, fueled mostly by the emergence of low-cost Android phones and the popularity of Apple's iPhone. According to a report by mobile analytics company Flurry, the Philippines is 8th in the world and the 3rd in Asia behind China and Vietnam, with a 181% growth rate in terms of iOS and Android users since October 2011. There are now 750 million Android and iOS devices running in more than 220 countries across the world. On top of the list, of course, is the United States with 181 million. China follows closely with 167 million users, 125 million of which were added just in 2012. This means that in terms of rate of growth, China is tops, growing by a staggering 293% in the last year. Analysts expect it to overtake the US before the end of the first quarter of 2013. Rounding out the top 5 biggest nations are the UK, Japan, and Korea, but even a total of their figures is nowhere near the big two. Did you know that you had the power to vote on Facebook? Well, most users didn't until this week when Facebook announced it was holding a referendum asking users to give up their power to vote on policy changes. That's right, according to existing rules, every time Facebook wants to change its terms of service, it first needs to post proposed amendments on its site governance page. If a minimum of 7,000 comments are received, then the amendments will be voted on. During the vote, 30% of Facebook's population is needed for the vote to count. If not, the proposal sails through. The problem is, with over 1 billion users, 300 million people would need to vote. Is it even possible to get that many people to turn up? Twice in the past, changes were put to a vote, but on each instance, the required number was never realized. Facebook says this system was faulty as it incentivized quantity over quality, and that it was proposing to end the voting component in favor of a system that leads to meaningful feedback and engagement. Merely a formality at this point, unless Facebook users come out in the hundreds of millions. Expect Facebook's vote to happen this week. So go out and make sure your voice is heard, even just so that you can say that you exercised your right to vote on Facebook before that right gets taken away from you. Twitter is all abuzz with the hashtag Syria blackout, following reports that Syria has disappeared from the internet. Research firm Renesas reports that as of 10:26 GMT of November 29th, all internet connectivity has been cut from the war-torn Middle Eastern nation. Akamai confirmed these reports, saying on Twitter that, quote, Syria is effectively off the internet. Many fear that the government of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad wants to control what information goes out of the country. At the height of Arab Spring, the governments of Egypt and Libya also cut off their respective countries' internet connections. This just in, Apple releases iTunes 11, a completely redesigned version of its music and video manager. iTunes 11 is the biggest redesign the software has seen yet, but the simplest version of the app ever. iTunes 11 was released a few hours before we taped the show, so we stayed up all night to take it for a spin. Here's what's new.
The iTunes sidebar is gone. Well, disabled by default. In its place is a bar on top of your library. On the left, a drop-down menu lets you quickly navigate through the different content types. On the right, a button to connect to the iTunes Store, and in the middle, a contextual menu to sort through content like song, album, and artist. Click on an album and sliding panels will open up to show more info, track lists, and even related songs that you can buy off iTunes. Apple has also made it easier to create and organize new playlists. You can now drag songs to the right, and a playlist sidebar will appear. A new feature called Up Next allows you to cue songs you feel like listening to, and you can do so while a song is playing. It also comes with a new and improved mini player that gives you access to new features like Up Next and the ability to search for and play songs. Finally, Preview History shows you a drop-down list of media you viewed or listened to recently. iTunes 11 comes with better iCloud support and an upgraded iTunes Store. You can download it now from apple.com/iTunes for both Mac and PC. The Nokia Lumia 920 is Nokia's new flagship phone and possibly one of the best smartphones running Windows Phone 8. While it's been available in Europe, North America, and Australia since earlier this month, the phone won't officially be available in the Philippines till January 2013. But this week, TechRap got some one-on-one time with the device, and based on the limited time we spent with it, we gotta admit, we're already fans. Here are the standout features. Of course, one of the first things we tried was its camera. Aside from the Nokia PureView 808, which sports a 41 megapixel camera, the Lumia 920 has probably one of the best cameras in a smartphone today. It too has Nokia PureView technology, but this one comes with 8 megapixels instead of 41. Unlike most smartphones of its class, its camera is located in the middle of the device and is the only one with optical image stabilization built in. In layman's terms, that's a springy type mechanism that reduces wobbles. We tried it out, gave the phone a shake while taking a photo, and the pic still turned out real clear. The screen too looked real crisp and glossy. Colors were vibrant, especially when compared side by side with an iPhone. It's worth pointing out that of the leading smartphones in the market, the 920 has the most pixels per inch. We also saw Nokia's Pure Motion technology in action. The refresh rates are so good that even when you scroll up and down real fast, the display remains crystal clear. Windows Phone 8 looked pretty promising as well. We love the live apps and live tiles on the home screen, and it looked like a feature we'd love to have on our own smartphones too. Most online reviews say the device is heavy, but we think that may be an exaggeration. While admittedly it is much larger than most, it still didn't feel that heavy. While this is just a first look and not a full review, we all agree don't count Nokia out of the smartphone war just yet. The Lumia 920 seems to be a worthy challenger. P.S. If you can't wait till January, we've confirmed that Vilman at Mall of Asia sells white Lumia 920s for only 27,000 pesos. They should have some stocks available unless someone from the TechRap team beats you to it. While tablets are probably the device of 2012, when it comes to reading books, ebook readers haven't lost their significance. This week, TechRap unboxed one of the latest ebook readers to hit the market, Amazon's Kindle Paperwhite. There's not much inside the box, just the device itself, a USB cable, and some literature. Almost like the device itself. No bells and whistles, no extra features that can distract you from the reading experience. Let's take a look at some specs. The device has a 6-inch e-ink touchscreen display with a pixel density of 212 pixels per inch. The Wi-Fi only model, which is what I have, weighs 7.5 ounces. A 3G model is also available. That one weighs 7.8 ounces. It comes with 2 gigabytes of internal storage, enough for about 1,000 books, but don't worry, Amazon provides you with unlimited cloud storage for books you buy from them. There are no buttons on its front. The only physical button on the device is the power button on the bottom that sits alongside the charging indicator and the micro USB port. Amazon claims the battery will last you 8 weeks with Wi-Fi turned off and 30 minutes a day of usage. I've had mine for a week and have used it much longer than the prescribed time, but it's still more than a quarter full. The Paperwhite is my first Kindle. I've held off for the longest time because I wanted to be able to read in the dark, something you can do on a tablet. Thing is, LCD-based tablets can cause eye strain when stared at for too long. Anyway, Paperwhite technology solves the problem. The display isn't backlit, so the light isn't shining directly at your eyes. They say it's front lit, but actually if you look closely, LEDs are under the bottom sides of the screen. The light shines through a fiber optic film and onto light guides that direct the light towards the e-ink layer. The result is light distributed evenly throughout the entire screen. You can read in the dark or on a sunny day. In fact, I find that contrast gets better with the sun shining on the screen. And unlike the glass displays on tablets, the There's no glare. Brightness controls are just a click of a button away. There are 24 levels of brightness. Another thing I like is how there is enough space for me to hold it comfortably without worrying about accidentally touching the screen. The rubber back also makes it a pleasure to hold. New to the Paperwhite is a feature called Time to Read, which automatically computes your reading speed and tells you how many minutes are left in the chapter you're reading. If you're used to a tablet, performance might feel sluggish, not to mention the fact that e-ink sometimes feels like you're on some antiquated technology. But really, this e-reader is by far the most superior one available today. It's the perfect size to carry around, the Amazon store has the most titles, and because there are no other apps to distract, I found that I'm reading more and more again. Amazon doesn't sell the Kindle officially in the Philippines, and it won't ship to a Philippine address, but there are many ways to get it. I got mine from Gadget Pinas. I have found that it's also available on sulit.com and at Kim's store. Don't worry, we'll put all the links on Rappler.com. The ad-supported version, one that displays ads on its screen when you're not using it, will cost around 6,600 to 7,000 pesos, while the one without ads will run you anywhere between 7,600 and 8,000 pesos.
And that was TechRap. For news and updates, follow Rappler.com on Twitter and Facebook. And if you have any tech questions or requests about what you'd like reviewed on the show, send an email to techrap@rappler.com or send me a message on Twitter using the hashtag TechRap. That's all for this week, folks. I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.